Hello everyone, I'm Jayashree. Welcome to my channel and to this tutorial for the crochet ribbed and textured top with cold shoulders. For this tutorial, we'll begin with the back panel. Then it's the center front panel along with the two side panels. We'll then assemble the front and back panels and work the sleeves directly onto the top. We'll begin with the back panel. So form a slip knot using the 3mm hook. Then it's chain 74. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Continue to 74 chains. I now have 74 chains. Round 1 into the third chain from the hook, half double crochet. So that's the first, second, and the third. So it's yarn over, insert the hook into the chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through all 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, insert the hook into the chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through all 3 loops on the hook. Continue to working half double crochets into the remaining chains. I've completed round 1 working half double crochets all across. Round 2, chain 2, 1, 2, and turn. We'll now work half double crochets all across. We'll work these half double crochets into the back loops. If you look at the stitches, here's the front loop and here's the back loop. We'll work our half double crochets into the back loop only. So for the first half double crochet, it's yarn over, insert the hook into the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 3 loops on the hook. Continue working half double crochets into the back loops to the end of the round. I've completed round 2 working the half double crochets into the back loops only to the end of the round. Round 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn. Here we'll work the first half double crochet into the third chain from chain 3. Continue to work half double crochets, working those half double crochets into the back loops only. I've completed round 3. I've worked the last half double crochet into that last stitch. Round 4, chain 2 and turn. Continue to work half double crochets, working those half double crochets into the back loops only to the end of the round. Round 5, chain 38, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue to 38 chains. I now have 38 chains. Then it's turn into the third chain from the hook, half double crochet, half double crochet into the remaining chains. I've half double crocheted into the chains. I'll continue working half double crochets into the back loops to complete the round. I've completed round 5 working half double crochets all across. At this point, this forms the bottom of the piece, and the part where we've created those chains, that forms the top of the piece. The notch that we created forms the underarm. Round 6, chain 2 and turn. We'll continue working half double crochets into the back loops only to the end of the round. Continue to the end of the round. I've worked to round 55 by repeating round 6. At this point, count 36 stitches, counting from the top of the piece, and mark off that stitch using a stitch marker. Round 56, chain 2, 1, 2, and turn. Here we'll continue working half double crochets all across, working those half double crochets into the back loops, and we'll stop at the stitch just above the stitch marker. I'm at the end of round 56 and I've worked the last half double crochet into the stitch just before the one that's marked by the stitch marker. Round 57, chain 2, 1, 2, turn. We'll continue working half double crochets into the back loops to the end of the round. I've completed round 57, round 58, it's chain 2 and turn. Continue to work half double crochets all across, working those half double crochets into the back loops only. For this round, we'll stop at the second last stitch. So we'll leave out the last stitch and we'll stop at the second last stitch. I've completed round 58, stopping at the stitch just before the last one. Round 59, chain 2 and turn. Again, we'll work half double crochets all across, working those half double crochets into the back loops only. I've completed round 59. Can now fasten off and cut off the excess yarn. That completes the back panel. To work the front panel, we'll begin with the center front panel and thereafter the two sides of the front panel. So for the center front panel, form a slip knot using the 3mm hook, chain 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Continue to 40 chains. I now have 40 chains. Round 1 into the second chain from the hook, half double crochet. So into that second chain, work a half double crochet. Continue working half double crochets into the remaining chains. I've completed working half double crochets all across for round 1. Round 2, chain 1 and turn. We'll begin round 2 with a half double crochet and a double crochet into that very first stitch. So for the half double crochet and a double crochet into that same stitch, it's yarn over, insert the hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, go through 2 loops on the hook. Then it's skip 2 stitches and into the next stitch work a single crochet, a half double crochet and a double crochet all into the 1 stitch. Continue with skip 2, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet into 1 stitch to the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 2 and I have 2 stitches remaining. Skip the 1 stitch and into the last stitch work a single crochet. Round 3, chain 1 and turn. Into the stitch from where the chain 1 comes out of, work a half double crochet and a double crochet into the 1 stitch. Then it's skip 2 stitches and into the next one work a single crochet, half double crochet and a double crochet. Skip 2, 1, 2 into that stitch, work a single crochet, half double crochet and a double crochet. Continue with skip 2, single crochet, half double crochet and double crochet into 1 stitch. Continue with the pattern to the end of the round. I'm at the end of round 3 with 2 stitches remaining. Into the last stitch I'll work a single crochet. So I've skipped the stitch and I've worked a single crochet into the last stitch. I've completed the center front panel to a length of 18.5 inches or 47 centimeters. I then fastened off and cut off the excess yarn. You'll notice also that the center front panel is slightly shorter than the length of the back panel. So if you place the center front panel along the length of the back panel, you'll see at the top edge, the center front panel is 3 inches shorter than the back panel, and that will give us an allowance for the neckline. That's 3 inches or 7.5 centimeters. We'll now work the sides of the center front panel, beginning with front side panel 1. To work the side of the panel, begin working on the right side of the center front panel. So attach yarn to the bottom edge of the center front panel. Then it's chain 1 to secure. Chain 1 also counts as a single crochet. Round 1 of front side panel 1, we'll work 93 single crochets across the length of the center front panel. To do this, I find that the easiest way to do this is to divide the center front panel into portions. Here I have 9 stitch markers placed somewhat evenly across, and in between those stitch markers I'll work 10 single crochets each. So if you're not comfortable working a large number of single crochets across, I suggest you divide the panel into sections and work those number of single crochets in between each section to give you the full number of single crochets that you need. In this case, I need 93. The chain 1 counts as a single crochet, so that's 1, and to the next stitch marker I'll work 10 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I'll work another 10 to the next stitch marker, continuing until I have 93 stitches in total. I've completed round 1, working those single crochets across the length of the center front panel. I have 93 single crochets. Round 2, chain 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Continue to 17 chains. I now have 17 chains. Turn into the third chain from the hook, half double crochet, half double crochet into the remaining chains. I've worked half double crochets into the chain. I'll continue to work half double crochets into the stitches, working those half double crochets into the back loops only to the end of the round. I've completed round 2 working half double crochets across the length of the center front panel. I've worked those half double crochets into the back loops only. Round 3, chain 2 and turn. Again, we'll work half double crochets across, working those half double crochets into the back loops only. Continue to the end of the round. I've worked to round 12 by repeating round 3. Before moving on to round 13, I placed a stitch marker into the 36th stitch, counting from the top of the piece. For round 13, I chained 2, turned, half double crocheted, working into the back loops only, to the stitch just before the one that's marked by the stitch marker. Round 14, chain 2 and turn. Continue working half double crochets into the back loops only to the end of the round. Round 15, chain 2, turn, work half double crochets, working those half double crochets into the back loops. I've also stopped at the stitch just before the last stitch for round 15. Round 16, chain 2, turn, work half double crochets all across, working those half double crochets into the back loops only. Continue to the end of the round. I've completed round 16. Fasten off and cut off the excess yarn. Moving on to the front side panel 2 on the opposite side of front side panel 1. Here we'll be working at the top edge of the center front panel. Whereas for front side panel 1 we attached yarn to the bottom edge. In this case, we'll attach yarn to the top edge. For doing so, form a slip knot, and here we'll chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now that we have our chain of 15, we'll now continue with single crochets along the length of the center front panel. To do that, attach your hook onto the panel, pull up a loop and work that single crochet. Continue with single crochets just as you had done for the front side panel 1, working the single crochets across the center front panel. That would be 93 single crochets. Just for an explanation on why I chose to work the front side panel this way, is because it allows the stitches, the ribbing, to face the same direction as on the front side panel 1. You'll see that the ribbing faces outwards. On the side as well, it would face outwards. Again, note that I'm working on the right side. The chain of 15 forms the little strap here, as we have on the front side panel 1. Thereafter, we'll continue with our 93 single crochets, and we'll repeat as for front side panel 1. I've completed round 1 of front side panel 2, working those single crochets all across. So I have 93 single crochets plus the chain of 15 at the start. Round 2, chain 2 and turn. Continue to work half double crochets into the back loops to the end of the round. Work those half double crochets into the chain of 15 as well. I've completed round 4 to round 12 by repeating round 3, as was done for the front side panel 1. At this point, I've fastened off and cut off the excess yarn. I've counted 36 stitches counting from the top of the piece, and I've marked off that stitch with a stitch marker. Before moving on to round 13, turn. We'll now reattach yarn to the stitch just after the one marked by the stitch marker. So into that next stitch. Then it's pulled through and chain 2. 1, 2. I've completed round 13 and round 14 of the front side panel 2. For round 13, I half double crocheted all the way down, working those half double crochets into the back loops only. Round 14, I chained 2, turned, half double crocheted all the way to the top, working my last half double crochet into the last stitch from the previous round. Round 15, I'll turn. Here, I'll go into that first stitch, pick up a loop and slip stitch. And then it's chain 2 and continue working half double crochets to the end of the round. So if we look at it closely, you see that I've reduced that last stitch. Continue working half double crochets into the back loops to the end of the round. I've completed round 16 by chaining 2, working half double crochets into the back loops to the underarm area, and I'll now fasten off, cut off the excess yarn. So that completes the front panel. Now that both the panels, the back and front, are complete, we can assemble the top. So I've placed the front panel above the back panel, right sides facing in. Make sure that you align the panels well at the shoulders, the armholes and the sides. With a needle and yarn, seam together the sides of the back and front panels. Continue to the notch. I've seamed along the sides of the panels. Now for the shoulders. Continue to the end of the shoulder. I've completed seaming up the shoulders. I've done the same on the other side as well. Now that we have the back and front body panels attached, we can move on to the sleeve. Attach yarn to the underarm. Pull through, chain 1 to secure. Round 1, work single crochets all around the armhole. You'll notice directly under the armhole there aren't any stitches to use as a gauge. Work those single crochets as evenly as possible. As you come around, there are stitches to follow. Work single crochets into those stitches. I've single crocheted across the armhole. I'm at the last stitch, and here to join, I'll slip stitch to join. To mark off the cold shoulder, lay the top flat. From the shoulder, measure 4 inches and mark that off with a stitch marker. Mark off the other side of the shoulder, the armhole as well. So if you'd like a bigger cold shoulder, you'll mark off at 5 inches. Now that we have the cold shoulder portion of the armhole marked off, we can move on to round 2. Chain 1, work single crochets to the first stitch marker. I'm at the stitch marked by the first stitch marker, and I've single crocheted into that stitch. Then it's chain 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and join to the next stitch marker with a single crochet into that stitch marked by the stitch marker. Continue with single crochets to the end. To end round 2 of the sleeve, slip stitch into the chain 1 from the start of the round. Now would be a good time to fit on the top to see if the cold shoulder part of the top fits the arm. If you find that it's a bit too tight, you can add on 3 more chains. Increase this chain in multiples of 3. Before moving on to round 3, count the number of single crochets, making sure that they are in multiples of 3. I have 42 single crochets, so that's perfect. Round 3, we'll single crochet across this portion of the sleeve. In round 3, we'll adjust the stitch count to make sure that it's in multiples of 3. So here we'll chain 1 and single crochet all across. So just to show you, to increase the amount of stitches, we'll work 2 single crochets into 1 stitch, and to decrease, we'll work 1 single crochet into 2 stitches. Let me get a close-up of that. So to increase, it's 2 single crochets into 1 stitch, and to decrease, it's 1 single crochet into 2 stitches. So you'll either increase or decrease to get the correct stitch count, which would be in multiples of 3. Okay, so I've got 42 stitches, so I'll just continue with single crochets all across. Continue working those single crochets into the chain as well. And back again into the stitches. To end, it's slip stitch into the chain 1 to join. Round 4, chain 1. Into that same stitch as chain 1, work a half double crochet and a double crochet. Then it's skip 2 and a single crochet, half double crochet and a double crochet all into one stitch. So continue with skip 2, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet into one stitch. To end the round, slip stitch into chain 1 from the start of the round. Round 5, chain 1 and turn. Always remember to turn when you're working in the round in order to get that sedge stitch pattern texture. Then it's a half double crochet into the same space from where the chain 1 was worked and a double crochet. Then it's skip 2 and a single crochet, a half double crochet and a double crochet all into the same stitch. Continue with skip 2, single crochet, half double crochet and double crochet all into one stitch to the end of the round. I've completed round 5 and I've slip stitched into the chain 1 to join. I've completed the sleeve to the length I needed by repeating round 5. Should you want a longer sleeve, continue by repeating round 5 to the length of the elbow. Thereafter, change the hook to a 2mm hook to taper off the sleeves. Fasten off, cut off the excess yarn and repeat for the other sleeve. I've also worked one round of the Sedge Stitch pattern around the neckline. Attach yarn to the neckline just before the corner of the neckline, and here I've single crocheted across to the other corner just after the other corner of the neckline. Again, ensure that the stitch count is in multiples of 3. Then it's turn and work the Sedge Stitch pattern, stopping just after the corner on the other side. Fasten off, cut off the excess yarn and weave in all the ends.